And we're live.
The magic.
And Matt's back.
I'm back. Wait,
gents, I can't make it tonight.
We've probably only done one podcast in a month where all four of us are present. It's not that many.
Well, it was mostly my fault. You've been here the whole time, right, Nick?
Well, no, I mean, think about it. I missed two while I was in Australia,
right.
or maybe one, and then
one, I think.
And then you missed one, Jack.
And Jack.
Do Survivor, and then Matt missed one last week, and then Chris missed one this week, and so it's like, yeah, we've all.
I thought I missed. Was it just one I missed?
You might have missed two. I think it's just one though.
I think you just missed one.
I'm a gamer. I don't probably miss one.
But the bigger question, though, Nick, do you have a song for us tonight?
I do not. I mean, I do, but I'm waiting until Chris gets back so I can play it. Yeah.
That's fair. That's fair.
He probably because he's going to a concert, right? Is that what he's doing?
Yeah, in Chicago. I'm not sure who it is. It's either.
It's one of the John Mayer ones.
It might be Dead Company. Yeah.
So
I know he's got like a My Morning Jacket and a Dead Company. He's got some other stuff coming up.
To clarify it, sorry, I didn't go to Disneyland, Disney World. So yeah.
Well, since you brought it up,
how was it?
Well, that was your first time there, right?
It was my first time to Disney World. I've been to Disneyland twice. Once in like the late 80s and once in the early 90s. So Disney World was a brand new experience.
All right. Well, how did it go?
It went well. It went good. Yeah. We had a great time. So it was magical in many ways. I think well, I mean, they put it there in the name, I think, as like a name, like brand. It kind of sells itself, right?
Well, that's why we and Jack laughed, because you used the.
It's
not technically a pun, but you used the.
They put Magic Kingdom in there, like to get you. You're like, oh, so everything's magical that happens. Yeah. So yeah, no, it was good. We had stayed at one of the Disney resorts there. It was the Boardwalk, which is situated near Epcot. It's like within walking distance of Epcot, which was great for us, and specifically.
You didn't have to take the tram across.
No, we didn't have to take the tram.
Skylit.
We had access to the boats. There's boats that go between this but honestly, you could just walk to Epcot in like 5 minutes. Like
really?
Yeah, it was really, which my wife loved, going to France and just getting glasses of wine at exorbitant prices. I'm like, sweetie, you packed wine for the trip. But okay.
But it's not from France. I'm in France now. When in Rome.
Right. I can order in French. And then it's also somewhat close to Hollywood Studios, which of course we wanted to go see Star Wars. So it was the perfect place in between those two. And we did 4 days, which was exhausting.
Okay. Yeah.
Total. Yeah. And we had park hoppers. So we were kind of, we would go in the morning, we would do it for, until 2, and then we would get back and kind of have a downtime and then go out in the evening and kind of enjoy a different park at that time. So
that was going to be my question, was because, Jack has said a couple of times, I know when we've discussed Disneyland versus Disney World, Disneyland is great because it's just one location. You can do everything you want right there. One day you're good, you're gone.
Right.
Whereas in Disney World, you have 3 to 4 stuff, places, and each of them has about 1 to 2 like rides or whatever. That's like that's the signature thing.
They have
that's
yep.
And
that's exactly.
And so Jack has always been, the opinion that he thinks Disneyland is far superior because you can just knock it all out. Whereas in Disney World is like exhausting, like you just said, because you have to go to all the locations.
I think so many people, and I can see how, because we had, by the end of day 2, just as a family, we were just like, oh my gosh, it was like a marathon of doing these parks, and we were wearing thin. And I was like, guys, look, let's not try to make it all about the biggest or the best ride that's right now. Let's just focus on what we want to see, because it's like, oh, Avatar this, or oh, this is Guardians, you got to go on this or this ride. And those, of course, are the ones that, like, if you want to do the lightning lane or what have you, you got to pay extra on top of the Genie Plus, which gets you a lightning lane on all of the other rides. at specific times, and you got to play this weird
Oh,
game.
so they've added the lightning.
So they have what they call Genie Plus.
Yeah, we did that, and the longest line we waited in was 20 minutes.
Right.
That's not bad.
But that was back. That was when it first started.
Well, they had what was called a long time ago. What was it? The Fast Pass, right?
Fast Pass, VIP,
Right.
FPP, very important.
Yeah.
Fast Pass person.
So now they have this Genie Plus thing, which if you buy, you can get lightning lanes in different times, but you can only do 2 for every 2 hours or something like that. And you can pick specific people that are going on those rides. But then, if you want to pay even more, you can pay for this, like the hot ride, which was Tron and Magic Kingdom. Also, the Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Like, if you wanted to ride that, like, it was just that popular. But typically, like, Magic Kingdom was just more packed. It was more crowded. Like, people were it's like they were going to do those classic things.
Right.
But even in like Epcot, Guardians was the ride that everybody wanted to be at and doing. And then, in Hollywood, it was Rise of Skywalker was the ride that people were paying. And then at Animal Kingdom, it was the new Avatar ride.
Oh, is it called Rise of Skywalker now? Not Rise of the Resistance?
Or Rise of the Resistance.
Okay.
Sorry. I'm sorry.
I
just Star Wars lagged. Yeah. We just started calling it like Rise and Millennium Falcon. Like, that was just how we kind of referred to those two. So yeah, we had like 4 days, and we were doing different parks at different times, and trying to give ourselves breaks in between the different parks so that we weren't kind of wearing down, and you got to refuel. And each day we kind of picked a specific restaurant where we were like, okay, this is the restaurant that's going to be our nice meal. Like in Epcot, in the aquarium area, it's like the Coral Reef restaurant, and it's like the whole thing is just a big giant aquarium. It's just amazing. It's cool. And if you've been in the heat all day and you can get in there, it's the best place to just relax.
The food's pretty good there.
It is. Yeah. We had good service, and the food was good.
Did you eat in the cantina?
I did eat in the cantina.
Nice.
Of course. Yeah. So the first day we did, of course, Star Wars. We were just like, out of the gate, we got to do, but this is why we are here. We are doing it all. Except Rise of Resistance was broken down.
It's always broke.
Yeah, I know.
Always broke.
It is.
Did you get to ride it though? You did eventually get to ride it.
We did get to ride it. Unfortunately, it didn't break down. But the last ride, the last day, the 4th day we were there, we were in line. We were almost on the ride itself. If the spoilers for anybody, just skip ahead. But if there's a moment where you finally get on the ride, we're right to that point.
Okay.
Sorry, folks.
Right son of a bitch.
Yes, that was a kick in the balls of the whole thing. But other than that, I would say each night ended in a very magical way with either the kids. All these people gather around in the Magic Kingdom to watch the fireworks go off. And I get it. You want to watch the fireworks go off. But pro tip, be on a ride while it's going off, because my kids were there was no line for the magic carpet ride.
You can hit 2 or 3 rides, bang, bang.
You could be on Dumbo and you can see the fireworks going off. It can just be a simple ride and you can see them going off, and
you're not crammed.
Cool. You're not crammed. It's so much better if you're be on a roller coaster seeing the fireworks go off. It's so much better. Than being trapped in this huge pantheon of people. What's up?
Wouldn't Gretchen be a little jealous if you're riding Dumbo with fireworks going off? Oh,
yeah, sure. Okay, so Star Wars. Our favorite ride though was Smuggler's Run. As a family,
okay. What position did you take?
I was gunner twice, and I was a pilot once. So. I think we
left seat or right seat?
No, I think we flew it 4 times. So I had to pilot in the left seat twice. Mm-hmm. So in the side to side, yeah. And that was so which ride would be best to watch the fireworks on? I don't know if you're on the Matterhorn, that's pretty cool. My kids were on the Magic Carpet ride, one of the easiest like little kiddie rides there when
Okay.
the fireworks were going off.
When you said that,
And
I was like, I don't know that one. I was like, okay,
it's just
now it makes
a
sense.
simple. I mean, I saw people in Tom.
It's just like a fake carpet.
Yeah, just you could go up and down and stuff like that. But
some kids fall off. It's kind of funny.
I mean, I saw people in Tom Sawyer's treehouse watching the fireworks go off. I mean,
uh-huh.
you just find a different place, not in the square, because I just think that it's just like
the firework. What they do put out a good fireworks show.
They do, but like we were on the monorail one night watching the fireworks go off, and I thought that was just as cool because it was like, you know, you're like seeing it in this different way. It's not. I don't know. I just
Epcot has a thing where they shoot fireworks off too.
They do, and we were fortunate enough. We were leaving Epcot one night, and the globe was all lit up, and we were at the entrance, and they had all of their sound production, and you hear Walt Disney come on, and he says, "We call it Epcot," and it's just in the monorail just at that time, like just happened to fly by. And
so what do they do? Wake him up from the dead every night?
No, they just have voice recordings of different.
He's like the Truman Show. He's up there in the moon, you know, just kind of watching over.
He's in his office, you know, right above the fire engine or whatever. But no, it was fun. We actually loved Epcot. Like actually of the parks there, we loved Epcot the best. The layout of it, all of the countries.
It's more open.
The people speak the different languages, and you know, it's not a ride based one.
No,
but they have soaring. Did you do soaring?
We did soaring, and that was so much fun. That was a lot of fun.
Is it still is it across the country, or is it just California?
They did the whole world because you go over Everest.
It used to be just California.
No, it's the whole globe now. So you go over like the pyramids, and you go you see a whale jump out of the ocean, and it was cool. We also liked the land where you kind of go on a boat ride, and I think you go in those eco domes where they're growing all of these plants and stuff like that. And then we went inside the Epcot thing to ride Spaceship Earth. Yeah, the big Spaceship Earth.
Last time I was at Disney World was 1993, so it's been a while.
Jesus Christ.
But I remember at that time, because Star Tours had made such a big deal at MGM or wherever it was at the time.
Well, it was in Disneyland. Star Tours was in Disneyland.
It's a Disney World too.
Yeah, they made one 90s. For Disney World. Yes.
Yeah, but I remember like Epcot wanted to have something to compete, and so they made this ride. I'm not sure if it's still there, but it was called The Body, and people it was just like Star Tours that you got in the same kind of pods, same kind of seats and all that, but it would take you through a kind of like Interspace, you know, with Mark Short. Sure. It would take you through The Body, but I think they got rid of it because so many people were throwing up because it grossed people out because you're literally seeing like cells and all this stuff, and people are like, oh. But I remember riding that as a 12-year-old kid, going like, what the heck is this? But
nice.
I don't remember if it was still there or not, but.
So, I mean, Hollywood Studios was the park we probably did the least and the most. Like we did Star Wars area the most, but we didn't venture much out. You know,
they don't have the rock and roll roller coasters not working right.
No, they did. They had it going.
Oh, they had it going.
Okay. Yeah. And we didn't ride that one.
That's a great roller coaster.
Sorry, we didn't ride that one.
I'm just saying.
Some of the lines, and we didn't know everything about it. We kind of were learning stuff on the fly, like, oh, you know, like I played for the Genie Plus, but I didn't realize certain rules, so we could have used the Lightning Lane more on certain rides. But
that stuff's not clear. Yeah,
it is. You need almost someone to kind of like a Disney guru to kind of let you know, like, hey, you should do this or you should do that.
That's why it was great when me and Jana and Cliff went in July in Disneyland last year, because a friend of mine who I used to work with lives near Disneyland, and she goes all the time because she has the year pass or whatever.
Oh, sure.
And so we knocked out Disneyland. We got there at 8 a.m. and we were basically done by 2 because she knew how to do everything. And so we just got in like that.
My daughter subscribes to a lot of YouTube channels where the people live in Florida or Anaheim, and they do like daily shows about what to do.
Right.
And she watched so many, and so we knew from watching these shows where these people would say, okay, this is what you want to do. This is like kind of like what Nick is saying, he had it inside to help her. But you watch these things, you go, oh, okay, all right, that makes sense. Okay, that's what I didn't, my daughter did it, but I was like,
sure.
It just made it a lot. I mean, I watched some of them because they're pretty interesting, but
there were a few things that my wife had sussed out or looked at beforehand, and one of the things that was really helpful was that Walmart does a delivery there at so you can have Walmart delivered to your resort.
Oh.
So if you're on the Disneyland park area, which we were, and we did that so that we could get early entry, and we just knew we wanted to be close so that we could just pop in and out and have more of a closer home base. But the Walmart delivery was perfect because then we could just order like easy stuff to eat, like bread, butter, peanut butter, like some fruit, just some things to have on hand so that when we got back to the room with the kids, it wasn't just like, okay, and now we're spending another $100 on some food. And now another $100.
When you go to Disney World, Disneyland, you cannot think about. Yeah. You can't. You just have to just go. Okay.
Here's the thing that I discovered about Disney World. Okay, and it took me a second to figure this out. But it's one big mall. The whole thing is just one big mall, basically. Like the number of people with ears and different kinds of mouse ears, and the way they've marketed that, and then all of these little backpacks that everybody's wearing with different Disney gear. I mean, it's nuts. Like the amount of money, because that's just in the merchandising alone. That's not in like the park passes or the Genie Plus, and then you get the lightning hoppers, and then you're paying $11 for a Timon, plastic thing for your Coca-Cola. You got basically less than $1 worth of product on a thing that's got a 99% markup on. You're just looking at that like, what the fuck are we doing here?
How do I get a piece of this action? Yeah.
I mean, I was happy that we had paid for the resort part back in January, so we had enough time to like plan. So it was kind of like that was already like taken care of. Like, so worrying about the payment on the resort. But I think a lot of people go into it where they're like, and you see the worst of humanity. I mean, we heard a woman like smack her kid. We're in the petting zoo at Animal Kingdom, and this woman is smacking her child. And you're just like, if you feel free to do that here, what the fuck are you doing at home?
I mean, you can tell that's been your first screw up, because that's what you do.
I called that growing. I called that growing up.
Yeah, that's what you do at any Disney place. That's like the 3 rules: is that you spend too much money, your body aches, and you beat your kids. That's just what you do.
Well, I guess I did 2 out of 3 because I didn't beat my kids, and we had a great time. There was no arguing. I think there were just a couple moments in which it was just like, my son wanted a dark saber that we were like, it's a little much there, buddy. And I wanted,
but y'all bought the other one. You did the build your own too, right?
We did do that.
So we already walked away with at least 3, 4 sabers.
3. Me, my daughter, my son. We all had, and they make lightsaber umbrellas, man.
Yeah,
that light up.
Say underwear.
No, but the Schwartz is with us. So yeah, we did we did the lightsaber building experience as well, and I think cool? I think it was really
that's the one thing that like I never ever want to spoil anyone on.
Yeah,
because it's, even though you can kind of get it, but it's just little things that happen that you're not expecting, and you're like, oh, that's so cool. Like, so I really, that's a fun experience.
What Disney does great, the level of detail in everything. Like, I mean, and we stayed in one of the resorts, so it was nice because like there are just those magical moments where I just happened to be at the hotel resort paying on, like the lightsabers actually. And I was like, oh, okay, blah, blah, blah. And then here comes Chip and Dale. And I'm like, yes, I want my photograph with Dale,
Just Dale.
And Chip was with another kid and I didn't want to interfere.
Chip is kind of bitchy.
He is. Yeah, so Dale's the party guy anyway. So that's who I wanted my picture with. So I get my picture with Dale. I'm walking away and here comes some 20-something little punk, and he's just like, "Hey, there's Chip," and I'm like, "That's Dale." It was my baller move, my most baller Walt Disney move. But anyway, it was fun. Just like all of those little moments that would happen. I think the reason why my family liked Smuggler's Run, though, is that we all had a part to play.
Right.
And
that's what makes it neat. Yeah.
My brother was with me, and so we were both gunner. And the first time through, we were both gunner, and I had more kills than he did.
Nice.
And he was just like, "I need a rematch," And I'm like, "Okay, I'll take the other side this time." And I beat him again.
Nice.
It was so good. So, but anyway, it was a fun ride.
Sometimes you get a gun. I mean, I've never been on that ride, but different rides where you're shooting, and it's like, come on, this thing's not shooting right.
Well, that's what's weird about it, because like I only rode it the one time, and I was right seat pilot, which is the vertical motion, and it's all those are awkward, because if you've ever been a gamer, you're used to having both joysticks, and this one you just have one, so all you have is the up and down motion, and the other person's going left, right, and so you're constantly like moving your body and trying to so it's difficult. It's nothing about it is easy.
But the cabin is moving with the screen and everything. I mean, the way they have that done and how they get people in and out of there,
I do suggest, though, if you can, is if you go 5 days, and you in the middle of the trip, you just say, we'll go by the pool, or we'll just.
That is exactly what I was telling my wife. I was like, if we were to do it again, I would have taken a middle day, or just
especially in Florida, if you're there when it's humid.
Yeah. Because then you can also kind of know when the storm's coming too. Like, oh, hey, this is going to be the day. We should go ahead and front load this or back load this. But having a break day would have been the next best thing, because even at the resort, the pool that they have there, the games that the people play with the kids, like in the Disney resort, sure, they have their lifeguards, but they also have people that are there to entertain the kids. Which, what pool does that?
Right.
It's expensive, but you're also kind of paying for that. You're paying for that level of service. And they were calling out kids for cheating. They were like, "Hey."
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was funny.
How dare you?
I was like, "Yes, yeah, that little shit right there, he's cheating."
That's the guy that thought it was Chip when it was Dell.
Get that
dumbass.
Man, it was. But yeah, you see the best and the worst of humanity. And I let some couple go in front of me in line, and they turned around and they were just so gracious and they were, "Thank you so much. Nobody's nice here," and because everybody's so cutthroat.
Try Euro Disney.
Is it worse?
Oh my god.
Our
first ride. So you've been to Euro Disney. I was curious about Euro Disney.
Yeah, I've been to the one in Paris, and our first ride was Pirates of the Caribbean, which is always it's the first ride we go on, and literally people were just taking cuts left and right. They're pushing on you. They're hitting you, and I stuck my arm up and hit this person. A lot of Russian people there. "You hit my nose." I go, "Well, sorry, didn't try to," but it was my wife and my 2 daughters, and they were like, "Oh," I go, "Look, this is how it's going to be. Either you suck it up, or we just go home now, because it's going to be like this all day long. These people don't fucking care." I go, "It's just every man for himself, every person for himself." Excuse me. I went back to the 80s there, but it was just, and people smoke, and I'm glad I did it, but I probably wouldn't do it again. And the haunted house was the best haunted house of the 3 that I've been to.
Okay, now see, here's the thing, and I watched a show. This was my airplane show. I downloaded a couple of shows just to get me in the mood. So here's my TV show. Sorry that folks listening, this is more Disney heavy than usual, but there's
this commercial. This is sponsored by Disney.
They get what they pay for.
Thanks for sponsoring my ride. Anyway, no, there's on Disney Plus. There's a show called Behind the Attraction. And it came out in 2021. So there's maybe 8 episodes. They do Jungle Cruise, Haunted Mansion. They do Star Tours, which drew me in. And they kind of tell the story of the ride from early beginnings all the way through. And they will even show you kind of clips or show you how it might be different in the other Disneys. So I watched the one on the Haunted Mansion. And it was cool because the one in Euro Disney is the only one on the outside that looks dilapidated because it's in Frontierland.
Oh.
In the original Disneyland, because Walt was actually, he never saw the Haunted Mansion completed, but early on they had talks like, oh, let's make it decrepit and, you know, run down. And he was like, no, I want it to be clean and I want it to fit in with the New Orleans style. So I want it to be upkept. I don't want anything, you know, he wanted things to look clean, you know. And I think because he wanted it to look, you know, not run down, not like a rundown ride.
Right.
So so interestingly enough, in California, you actually drop down the elevator, but in Disney World, the walls move upward because they didn't have the bedrock to dig out the entire ride underneath. So the walls actually move up. And then when they went to Euro Disney, they were trying to think about like, oh, the style of it. So they made it more of a minor theme, like, because it's an abandoned mine and it kind of fits into Frontierland. So that's why the outside of it looks more run down. And anyway, you can watch
it
more about.
Definitely was, but isn't that the one where they showed they have a real tree there, and they got the tree from somewhere in Florida, or they had it shipped somewhere, just to put that tree because it would look like the place, you know. I can't remember the Carolina. It was something that this tree is from a certain place, and that's what they wanted to make it look. And so they dragged this tree in.
Wow.
And it's a real tree, and they planted it to match the. Oh, nice. I mean, that's just the magic of Disney. But like I said, Euro Disney. Like I said, I've done it, and I would never. I don't think I would do it again.
Now, I know that I brought this up. I know at least once on here before, but maybe this was on the program that Matt was just talking about. But I watched something, or maybe read something about the Haunted Mansion, and that is actually the most shut down ride in Disney, and it's not for the reason you think it is. And it's just because there's so many Disney fanatics out there that a lot of people want their ashes at Disney somewhere, at one of the Disney places. And so most people, if they have some of people's remains, think, oh, the Haunted Mansion's in the dark. I can spread the ashes here. And so, you know, they're just riding in the dark, but they don't know. But, you know, there's cameras everywhere.
Yeah.
And so when people dump them, it's human remains. So they immediately have to like shut down the ride and clean that out.
Wow.
You know? And I was like, that's totally makes sense. You know?
Well, I had heard about, speaking of shutting down rides, I had heard that the animatronics behind Rise of the Resistance, and specifically Kylo Ren, breaks down. And then later I'd seen on a TikTok video where there was actually a scene, there's two animatronics of Kylo Ren, and one where he's on the starship and something happens to him. They took that out completely because I think it had trouble like staying alive or whatever. It kept breaking down.
That's right, you didn't get to see the ride. So, yeah.
What's that?
You didn't get to see that part of the ride, right?
Well, no, I saw the ride. I got to ride the ride.
Oh, you got to ride. Oh.
Yeah, we rode it once on our second day. But
so then the second time
on our fourth day, we were trying to ride it one more time with my wife, who didn't ride it the first time. We kind of knew everything, and we were like, hey, this is what you should suspect, you know, like you'll be okay.
The ride, you know, is slightly different depending on which car you're in, which is interesting too, because especially around the AT-ATs.
Okay.
Or the AT-ATs. Like there's one of them I know, you know, like it opens up, you know, the doors open up, whatever, and you see the actual head and the guns looking at you. Whereas on the other one goes underneath the legs.
That I went underneath the legs.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so it's like, oh, that's pretty, you know, it is slightly different depending on which car you're in.
Huh. Sorry, I got sidetracked.
It looks like you got some sun too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I tried to stay sunscreened up. Because we were in the sun so much. So
so did you like that? You said you went to the Animal Kingdom. Did you like the Animal
Kingdom? We did.
We
went to Animal Kingdom on the third day. I recommend the Safari ride.
Oh yeah,
because
it's a classic.
It's basically like it's Walt Disney's idea of the Jungle Cruise, except come to life, where it actually has, because he wanted original. He really.
But if you have a bad back, don't do it.
Oh, the Safari. It just doesn't. Okay.
I
liked the Safari ride. I liked the Safari ride.
But I've done it twice. But
I think
I don't like it because it's so, like we said, Epcot is so open.
Mhm.
It's so narrow that there's no room to move.
Like throughout the park, you mean?
Right.
Yeah, no, and there are a lot of different paths, so it's easy to get like turned around. And
Yeah.
I think so if I were to do Disney World, and I again, I would just pick Epcot and Hollywood. Like those would be the two. Maybe a hopper over to Magic Kingdom if I wanted to ride a classic ride. But like personally, I just enjoyed the experience we had. And we also had a really so this happened on our third day. We went to Epcot in the evening, and it was just after one of these like torrential Florida downpours, right? And so we're in France. Wife's getting a cup of wine for about the fifth time, and we're walking out because it just comes around the corner there, and there's this big, huge rainbow right over the water, just right in the
Disney magic.
skyline. It was. My brother
It was on a track though.
My brother was like, I don't know how they made that happen, but that's some pretty good.
They have a great fish and chip place there.
That you're paying for it
in the UK area.
Yeah, that's really good.
It's
we saw the sunset in Epcot, and then we also saw another rainbow separate from that. It was a double rainbow later on.
Wow.
And it just added to the specialness of being there. So but Animal Kingdom though, it's basically Disney's zoo, and there are some cool things there. My son, being named Everest, wanted to ride the ride Expedition Everest.
That is a cool ride.
And we did that. That was fun. I like how the track is out and there's some surprises that happen in it. So that's yeah. My daughter rode that. That was her first big roller coaster, and she was like, she liked it, but I think in her mind afterwards she was just like,
that's when they go straight up, right?
Never again.
Shoot you up straight up.
I don't know if that shoots you straight up, but you click up and then you go down. It's more of a classic roller coaster. But you get to a point at the peak of Everest.
Oh, I'm thinking of Busch Gardens or something.
And then you start to slide backwards.
Oh.
So, and then the other big new ride that happened, and this was in the Magic Kingdom, was the Tron ride.
Yeah.
Which is about 60 seconds and it's done.
What?
It is so fast. It is cool because you're on a motorcycle. You're on a motorcycle, so you're on the cycle. You're on the light cycle, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you're kind of, the way you have to lean into it, you have to kind of tilt your head up like this. So if you're like me, you're like,
it's a lot of work.
So you're bracing for impact, because you're like going like this at 60 miles an hour. It's cool, but then it's over. And
so you're just on the bike. That's all you get to do.
You're just on the bike, and it zooms you up like it's a roller coaster.
Oh,
it's a roller coaster. It's not
quick.
It's not a
Space
virtual
Mountain
thing.
is quick,
but you go outside. The best time to do it is at night because it is lit up, and the outside part has this whole digital kind of screen kind of thing, and you go around through that. But that is the hot ride or the it ride right now. And
how long was the wait for that one?
We did I just was like, okay, we're doing the lightning lane. We're just gonna pay for this and get it done.
Yeah.
So,
speaking of Space Mountain though, Jack, like I know I mentioned this when I got back from Disneyland, is that when as a kid, I loved roller coasters, and first I loved Space Mountain when I went to Disney World as a kid, and that was one of the first things I wanted to do when I went to Disneyland. And I hated it. And it's just like, it's because it's the difference between like a 12-year-old body and a 41-year-old body at that time. Because being in the dark and then jerking you around and not knowing where you're going. I just remember getting off going like, fuck.
And the size of those things it's not very big.
No.
Like, I mean, I didn't.
Well, that's me on the Matterhorn at Disneyland now. Loved it as a kid. But it's so rickety, and it's like you get it's like it's like you got the ride and you thought someone has just beaten the shit out of you.
See, I rode that when I was probably like 14 or 15. I rode that ride, and that was another one of those rides that I was on while the fireworks were going off, and that was when I was in Disneyland, and that was really cool, being on the Matterhorn while the fireworks are going off. Disney World, though, a lot of fun. Again, I enjoyed Epcot maybe the most. out of the parks. Star Wars was a lot of fun. It was really
And your
cool.
wife enjoyed Epcot?
My wife enjoyed Epcot. It was kind of like splitting it was like, okay, you're in this camp, we're doing Star Wars. At one point on our last day there, it was like,
go have fun.
Yeah, well, it was kind of like, hey, but then we came to this mutual agreement. We got into this French restaurant, which was basically the equivalent of her lightsaber build. like her building it. And it was fun. It was delicious. The food was just fabulous. It was very expensive, but worth it. And it was a nice way to kind of end the night. And then we went back over to Star Wars and did Smuggler's Run a couple more times. And it's always fun when you can do a ride and then immediately get off of it, walk back through the line and do it again. That's like, there's just something so fun about that. So,
but at this time, we need to take a commercial break for Disney Plus.
For Disney Plus. I'm sorry I talked so.
No, it's fine. I love talking about Disneyland and Disney World.
Okay.
Anyway, moving on. We won't talk about Disney World anymore. So. What did you guys
my grandson Alex graduated preschool today.
Oh,
so that's the second graduation I've been to for a preschool in the last 3 weeks. So
I think I complained about this a couple of
bar
years
is
ago
too high there
with Zach. Yeah. It's like, what are the requirements to graduate preschool?
You pay your money. Yeah. And then you've aged out. And now you have to go to kindergarten.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, yeah, like, I mean, is the only requirement is that you don't
ABCs
poop your pants anymore?
Is it 1, 2, 3s? What are we talking about here?
No, you can be the stupid. You can be the stupidest kid in the world and still.
I did got colors.
And you can graduate preschool. It doesn't matter. But
okay.
Like when I was growing up as a kid, I didn't even do preschool. I did a camp thing, and that was it. And then I remember going to kindergarten. Our kindergarten was like half day, and everybody's crying. And I'm like going, am I supposed to be crying?
My son, I don't know. My son didn't go to preschool. He's in advanced math now.
It didn't help me. I mean, I was in no advanced stuff, but
I was told there'd be no math.
To me, I just didn't, and then I don't know about you guys. I went to junior high. I didn't have middle school.
Yeah, I mean, the same thing, but like,
no. I mean, it's just a word.
Well, junior high was from 7, 8, 9.
Oh, so different.
7, 8, 9, and where high school was 10, 11, 12.
Okay,
that's a ripoff though, because sophomores. The whole point of being a sophomore is that you're not a freshman,
right?
Sounds like the sophomores were the freshmen. Then you're a junior and you're already like, hey, now I'm just a sophomore.
Like I said, I was small enough going in 10th grade. I was like 4'11", 90 pounds. So it was like, I can't imagine how I was in 9th grade. I probably was like 80 because I had a growth spurt there. Got up to 4'11". So
don't stop believing.
My nephew's a freshman, in high school right now, which is crazy when you think about it. But like, he genetically is taken after me, like not his mother. He's the spitting image of me, everything. And like, he
complains a lot.
He does. Yeah. Well, he thinks like me, so it's spooky sometimes. And my sister yells at him, and when she yells at him, sometimes she calls him my name. She's like, because the things that pissed her off about me growing up now piss her off about her own kid. So it's like, yeah. But same, like he was getting kind of like what you're saying, Jack. I didn't hit my growth spurt till my freshman year. Like I was fairly short all the way to that point, and he kind of going, "I'm going to be short." He was like, "No, dude, you're just like me. When you get like mid freshman year, you're gonna hit you're gonna grow like 5 inches in 1 year." And then sure enough, that's what's happened. Like he's just now he went from being like a little short kind of pudgy kid to like like he's like Matt. He's just a rail, like just
thanks.
It's a good thing. No one will ever call you fat, Matt.
Everyone was, but I think I've told this before because I had an uncle who was 6'5" and uncle who was 6'3" on my mom's side, and they kept saying, you're just like your Uncle Butch. Now he's 6'5". I go, and your Uncle Bill, it's just the same. So I kept
Butch
waiting.
And Bill.
I'm still
American names.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for that growth
That growth
spurt.
spurt, yeah.
It'll
"Wow."
just keep waiting. It'll
Yeah,
kick in.
I'm going to be almost 61.
Are you past your prime?
Yeah, and I keep thinking maybe
Wait,
it's not
what?
going to happen.
You're almost 61?
I thought you were
Almost
62 already.
61.
Oh,
Shut the fuck up. But
I don't know if I can handle this, Jack.
well, I did. I think I talked about it before. You start thinking about, okay, in terms of how many years do I have left? Because we've been talking, we
Right.
talked about it again today. Okay, Jackson is 2 months old. Okay, he graduates high school. I go, I'll be 79. Will we be able to see him graduate college? That's the key.
Right.
I go,
Well-
hell, I'm happy if I can see him graduate high school, because that's 18 more years.
well, what bums me out about things like that is, like my nephew, for example, like one's 15, the other one is 12. And, yes, you remember things from when you're really young, but your true memories don't really start kicking in until you get right around that age, like 12 on, And it's one of those things where, like, I remember thinking that a lot. I was like, man, if I died right now, my nephews would not really remember me, or no, because you just kind of like, oh yeah, I remember him being around, but like I don't remember him.
They would remember you. It's
But no,
of course,
like, I mean,
as time went on, it would fade.
well, yeah, they remember
You would
then.
fade completely away.
They
If
would
you
just-
died right
well,
now, they would probably
Back to the
forget
Future.
you.
Yeah,
They would just say pain in the ass.
yeah.
All right, so
Here lies
pain
Uncle
in the ass.
Nick.
Well, I say that about my grandkids. I said, well, God, they wouldn't remember me. Zach probably would, but the other ones was like, fuck him.
Exactly.
It's his fault. He died too soon.
Exactly.
I mean, I get to this point in your age, Jack, and I think, how many more years do I have of RCAD?
I don't know. Well, because we're going to Alaska in
Just holding on.
in August, and my wife
Make
said
me the producer.
that's going to be in my will.
Fuck.
But my wife said, he goes, because we kind of jumped into the Alaska trip because we're going to San Diego, we're going to Pittsburgh, and it's like, God,
Wait. San Diego.
yeah.
Pittsburgh.
Well, we're going to see baseball games.
Oh, okay.
So it's we're doing something. I go, well, if I knew we were going to Alaska, I probably wouldn't have done San Diego. Seriously, and I wouldn't have done probably because it's expensive, stuff like that. And Cindy goes, well, I look at it this way: how mmany more years do I have for you to be able to walk? And I go, probably not long. So that's what we're doing. And then, it's just like, okay, I've always wanted to go to Alaska. So we just jumped right in.
It's neat. I like it.
And I was going to ask, you've been to Alaska, right, Nick?
Yeah, I've been. Yeah,
have you been to Juneau, Alaska?
Yeah, Juneau. Yeah, I've been.
Okay.
They made a movie about it.
If you're taking,
I know.
Yeah, if you're taking the cruise, you start in Vancouver, and then sometimes they go all the way up to the glacier, and then come down the Panhandle. Sometimes they go up the It depends on which one you take, because like sometimes they'll go up the Panhandle, do all those towns, and then go to Anchorage. So it depends on which
Jack's
one you
just taking the tip.
Just the
Yeah, exactly.
you'll
that's
stop.
the best part.
You'll stop at Ketchikan, Juneau, Haines, Skagway.
Yeah, those are the towns. But my sister wants to do a Jeep, where you rent a Jeep and you go down these paths in Juneau. And I go, well, are there any bears? I mean, you're out there in the wilderness, so I don't have to worry about bears in Juneau.
Juneau's an island, so like you can't really get there. Like it's not like it's the only like capital you cannot access by land. Like you have to.
The bears can swim,
either
man.
fly into it or
I've seen swimming bears.
Yeah.
So I don't need to get some bear repellent.
Not for that part now.
Okay, all right. Well, I'm holding you to that.
Okay.
I'll tell Cindy when she's being dragged away by a bear.
If
It's not my fault.
If you decide to go into any gay bars,
Damn, you stole. Yeah, I was about to say. It's like you might see a couple other kind of bears. Yeah. No, I like Alaska. It's nice. I actually had a friend that just went.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. And but it's just you get to a certain point in age, you go, hey, fuck it, I got to start. If I'm gonna start doing things, can't say next year,
right?
Because I am to that point where it's like, okay, there may not be a next year. Right. And like I said, I told my wife that I wonder how much longer I'll be doing this Ramblecast.
forever.
She goes, "You don't enjoy?" I go, "No, I love doing it." I go, "I don't like having to set it all up because Matt kind of quit on me." But
Yeah.
I quit on you. Okay.
yeah. Well, I have to do it now, and I have to set up these great backgrounds, these great thumbnails.
So good.
I
The
think
question about this background right now, is that like the side profile of a belly in the orange that's kind of coming down?
It does.
And
It's kind of look like that, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it's like full. It's like pregnant with a skillet of food.
I didn't even notice that.
Went to
What
Golden
is going
Corral.
on? Yeah, like what is going on with that?
Is that a beef and broccoli plate? What is it?
Well, I on the templates, I just click, I go music, then I went, okay, let's try food. That's the one that popped out at me. I said, okay, we're doing that one.
All right.
Fuck it. If I have to do it my way.
In another 10 years, you can just plug it into AI. Make me a RCAD.
I can't wait for that. That would be nice.
But
That would be nice.
I think that's why Mom, 15 years ago, started following me on where I go in the world, because Dad's always been a little bit more introverted than the rest of us and doesn't really like to travel a whole lot. And so Mom's like, "Where are you going this year?" "I'm going here." "Okay, I'm coming too." "All right, fine." And then because she's saying, like, she was in her 64? No, close to that. She's in her early 60s, basically about your age, Jack, when we started doing that. And exactly, like I'm not getting any younger, and next thing I know, I'm not gonna be able to walk anywhere. So I want to go see some of these countries.
Yeah, I don't want to be traveling these countries in a rascal. I remember the riverboat cruise. Those people in the rascals are just they're coming up the works.
Get me started on the rascals, because I'm having flashbacks to Disney World.
That and the strollers.
Strollers.
License to kill.
I had some showdowns. I was just like, bring it. I am like Jesus right now. Tackle me. I don't care. Like, just take me out. Okay.
I don't know if it was the last trip we went on or the trip before, but
I had a double wide coming straight at me on Main Street, and I was like, fuck it. What have I got to lose?
I had this woman, this lady, female, whatever you want to call her, and she just slams into the back of my legs with the stroller. And I turn around, look at her. She goes, "You're not moving." I go, "Because there are people in front of me. Where do you want me to go?" I said, "So it's okay just to hit me?" And she just kind of looked at me like I was the asshole because I was interfering with her kids getting to a ride 2 seconds earlier. I go, Christ
I mean,
almighty.
it's weird because it's like boot camp. Now I go into the grocery store at Costco, and I'm like, whatever. What do you got for me? Because I've just been through fucking hell. I mean, people, like, you're traveling in a family pod, and someone will just like stray walk right through, and I just walk right into them, and they're, "Oh, excuse me," and I'm like, "Yeah, excuse you," because you just literally tried to cut into my body.
I like the group of people.
I'm having PTSD here from this.
There's like 7 or 8 of them, and they're all in the middle, and they stop in the middle.
All wearing the same fucking shirt too.
And Cindy gets mad at me. I go, I could move to the side and get out of everyone's way, but no, I'm gonna stand right here in everybody's way.
But
why do you say? I go, it makes me feel better.
Exactly. That's the thing that we've been bitching about at Comic-Con every year. Because not that you go to the floor much anymore, Jack, but it's the same thing. He's like, people, you're already eating a whole bunch of people in a crowd, but there is usually a flow of like where people are walking, and instead of like it'll be people always on their fucking phones. It's like, just go to the wall. It's literally right there. Just take a few steps to the right or the left.
Because it's like chewing gum. Some people just can't walk and talk on their phone.
I would even say to my family, "Hey, let's step over here.
Mm-hmm.
Let's step into the shade, out of the fucking path of people, so that we can look at our phones and figure out what we're going. Let's have a conversation over here, as opposed to in the runway of people." But whatever.
It's like people at the grocery store that put their shopping carts blocking the whole. Excuse me, and they look at you like, "What?" Excuse me.
I was at the grocery store today, and seriously, I was completely immune and numb to it. I was just like, whatever. I've just been through hell. I saw Hades laughing at me, and he had a Mickey Mouse costume on. So I have no problem with whatever this grocery store's got for me today.
That is funny. It's true.
Yeah,
it is so fucking
all
true.
Right. Going around the horn, sorry to bring up Disney World again, but classic Disney characters, what would be go to, like
Oh,
Well,
the
I mean,
meat?
the ones that you might Donald Duck definitely, and Mickey and Goofy. Those are probably
Donald is definitely high up there for me. Maybe like a Pluto or a Goofy, you know.
I'm
So
thinking
I've
Pluto.
never been a big Mickey fan. That's
No, but I'm saying if you're thinking classic characters, that's
yeah.
I've never been a big Mickey fan, but I like Daffy
Donald's
Duck.
like the
Not Daffy
everyman.
Duck. Donald's.
I always like Donald. Donald's my go-to. Like,
he
the
is
Saturday morning cartoons. If
Light of the world.
If the Mickey ones came on, I wanted the Donald always.
Well, and then you had like DuckTales and all of that stuff that came afterwards. I mean, even though Donald wasn't in that.
No.
So
I like the Little Mermaid. Snow
really,
White.
of the princess movies, you like the Little Mermaid?
Just the characters. I know I was like 17, 18. I was like, oh, there's Snow White. Yeah.
Wait,
they were real people. That's what I'm trying
you were
to
like
say.
30 when Little Mermaid came out. Jack, what are you talking about?
I said Little Mermaid. I'm saying Little
real
Mermaid
creepy,
now.
man.
Yeah.
Well, if you go on the Little Mermaid ride, it is kind of creepy.
Oh,
I have not. I don't know the Little Mermaid ride.
It's a little okay. You shouldn't go there. All right,
Jack, tell me what happened when you rode the Little Mermaid.
Well, I think there's a scene where she looks really, and then then we got into debate. I said, did she not look as good here as she did there? It's like she looks haggard here, versus before she aged really quick here. And people are going, what? And I go, look at the Little Mermaid when we start out. She's young, she's full of life. I go at the end when she hits up with what's the guy's name? Not
Eric.
Gaston, Eric, whatever the guy's name is.
Gaston, that's Belin's.
I know. I go,
it's a metaphor, Jack. It's a metaphor.
Exactly. I go, she's just like, she's cashed in her chips. She's like, fuck it, I should have just stayed a mermaid.
I don't know about princess movies. I don't know about princess movies, but the Robin Hood is probably my favorite of the classic.
Oh, the classic cartoons.
Yeah.
Depends on where you end, like what you consider to be the era of classic.
But I'm like,
A Lady and the Tramp. I'm
like 70s era Disney, you know, like I liked the, Jungle Book, I think was like 69.
Oh, Jungle Book, good too.
But I like Jungle Book, and I love that character with the bear, so it really fits in with Robin Hood.
I like Bambi because it always makes me laugh.
Yeah.
I liked Fox and the Hound.
That's what I was going to say, because to me, Fox and the Hound is the last of the classic era.
Fox and the Hound, that's a good one.
Yeah, Fox and the Hound is good.
The Lion King. I mean, I know that's not
Lion King of the new era.
That's the new era, definitely.
I can't wait till my dad dies till I become king.
Because you can make arguments for like Black Cauldron and some of the other ones that are possibly classic era because they had the old animation style. But to me, like definitely Little Mermaid, Lion King, all that. That's definitely new. That's the new era.
Yeah. Well, it's the '90s, but it's definitely new. Oh, I liked Pinocchio. I like Pinocchio.
Yeah, Pinocchio.
Pinocchio.
The one movie I get why it was an accomplishment for its time, but it's a movie I've never liked is Fantasia.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Every time I try to watch it, I watch it and I respect it, but it's not something that I'm like, I want to watch Fantasia, not unless I'm on a lot of acid.
Huh.
But
I don't know what you're laughing at.
Yeah, you missed me say it.
I'm washing through a lot of acid.
Not unless I'm watching it on a lot of acid.
I liked Fantasia. I remember seeing that in the movie theater, and it's re-released in the 90s with my mom. And I think it was just at the right time for me because I just was really into the whole.
I mean, it's a beautiful
music.
For me, I like the Disney movies.
Have you
like
seen
Herbie.
Fantasia 2000?
I have. I actually own that one.
Yeah, that's really.
I saw
good
it on
too.
acid.
Yeah.
You could watch that one on acid as well. So.
I've never done acid.
Those classic ones are really good. You got Dumbo, you got Peter Pan.
Dumbo. Problem with Dumbo, I know
you talked about that.
Oh my god, I can't do the drunk part.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I love that. I mean, fucking Dolly doing that's the greatest part. Elephants on Parade.
Elephants on Parade. Oh my god, I want to puke. Yeah. But no, I was gonna say I like the Disney movies probably more. I like the Herbie the Love Bug.
Okay, sure.
See, the only one I like,
Peter Pan was
of
a
the
good
classic
cartoon.
Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah, the only one of the classic movies that I will watch is
Aristocrats.
The family in the tree.
Oh, Swiss Family.
Swiss
Robinson.
Family.
Oh
yeah,
Robinson. I would watch Swiss
That's good.
Family Robinson.
Yeah, that's
but,
that's
Well, when I was a kid, I don't know if you guys remember this, but
we watched that darn cat. That was
the
fun,
darn cat.
actually.
Yeah, that's a good one. The Invisible Man, and then you had the guys that Kurt Russell was in a lot of the Disney movies.
Yeah, they basically owned his soul.
Yeah. But what I liked is
that's why
every
every
Sunday night we had the Wonderful World of Disney.
Oh
And
yeah,
so-
I love that. Love that.
Yeah, so from 7 to 8, whatever it was, I think 7 to 8, we're watching the one, and they'd have Huck Finn, and they'd have all these different shows, and they'd show movies. It was great. I don't know if you're old enough, Nick, to remember that, but it was
I mean, I
fantastic.
remember the Wonderful World at Disney, and even they used to have like the animal programs on there. So
Yes.
yeah.
Well, yeah, that's why I've always felt.
And it was Ed Sullivan after that.
Yeah, that's why I always felt I was more of an old soul than like an actual millennial kid, even though I consider myself not to be a millennial, because I didn't have cable or anything growing up. So I watched a lot of old stuff that my parents grew up watching because that's what they had. And so I knew a lot of that stuff. Like, I mean, I still to this day, when I go home for Christmas like that, I still watch like all the old Westerns because that's what my dad wants to watch. I've seen Rio Bravo so many times that I could kill myself. But I still love it.
Yes, Wild Kingdom.
Yeah, well,
that was the one with look at wrestling the Bengal tiger. It was the old guy, right? The old guy, and then the young guy was always out. Is that what I'm thinking about, or is that
what are you talking about?
mutual?
You talking about a Western?
Mutual of Omaha. Yeah.
Wild Kingdom. That's what it was called.
wow, okay.
And it was an old guy, and there was a young guy.
It's clear where Peyton Manning got the idea of Omaha.
Yeah, Jim. Look at Jim wrestle the Bengal tiger. Johnny Carson used to joke about that all the time.
Oh yeah, the other classic movie I used to watch a lot was Apple Duckling Game.
Apple Duckling, yeah, with Tim Conway and Don Knotts.
Don Knotts. I watched that one a lot growing up.
Yeah.
I just learned that Don Knotts grew up in an abusive household. His dad was a drunk and beat the snot out of him and his mom.
Huh.
I didn't. Yeah, it's terrible.
We turned out all right.
Yeah, he turned out right. Yeah.
Well, clearly that's what happens. Sorry, that was.
Well, I meant like most of the time people have a lot of issues because of.
Well, he had. I mean, I don't think you ever get over that. But
No.
Yeah. Well, especially like I mean, as we. Certain people of a certain generation, it's like, oh, well, I don't need therapy, but hey, maybe therapy might help you through this.
That's what this is for. This is my therapy.
Yeah. Right. Well, I got therapy in my bottle.
I self-medicate.
For a man who is not a looker, he had a very successful career. I mean,
and he got laid a lot.
He did. I want to do Barney. Or I forget his character.
You want to do Barney?
I know. What?
He said he. Oh, never mind. But
I see. I thought you wanted to do Barney.
Yeah, no, that's what.
Oh, yeah.
No, he said Matt said he got laid a lot.
It's fine. It's fine.
Some woman at a fetish going, I want to do Barney.
Here's the title episode. I want to do Barney.
It goes Santa Claus, Barney from Barney Berry. And then
I still remember watching. I think it might have been Fantasy Island or Love Boat, and he was on there, and it was Ann Davis. I think her name Ann Davis, is that her name? She was on the show Vegas with Robert Urich, and so she was a very attractive woman and stuff like that. And she, for some reason, always got these roles where she had to date someone like a Don Knotts. And my mom goes, "I don't care what they would pay me. I'm not kissing that guy."
Wow.
I said, she goes, "I don't know why come on, this is not believable."
Right.
I go, I don't know. Money talks, Mom. Money talks.
I mean, and then think about he's on Three's Company. Not that was like a massive hit, but he still had a
he's
pretty good career.
The Ghost of Mr. Chicken. That's a great one. And what's the one where he's the fish?
Yeah.
Mr. Limpet.
Mr. Limpet. Yeah, that's I mean, that was ahead of its time. I mean, it was a cartoon and stuff. Then he chooses to stay in the sea, and his wife's like, "What?
Yeah.
What? You're leaving me?"
Yeah,
I want to be a fish. Come on.
And that went on to influence Steven Spielberg's Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Because Richard Dreyfuss goes on to go with the aliens at the end of the movie.
I've never, that movie.
I've only
I
seen that
never
Really?
understand. I never understood
I've
the
seen
appeal
that
of
so
that
many times.
movie.
Yeah.
I don't understand what the message of that movie is, because Richard Dreyfuss is a fucking asshole in that movie.
If he's an asshole in real life.
I know, but like I'm just saying, but like think about, you wonder, is it something that the aliens did that possessed him? Because that's what you would like to think. Because he
Spielberg said that like he would have.
Leave his
Yeah,
family.
Spielberg said that he would have changed. Like as he aged, he realized he would have written that differently.
Mm-hmm.
He wouldn't have had him like leave off with the ship or what have you. But I remember seeing that as a kid on TV, with like the babysitter watching it and just being like, what the, like, because you see the kid getting abducted by aliens, and it's like, it's Indiana. I'm living in Ohio. I'm like, fuck this shit.
Yeah.
Like, so then you moved to Indiana.
Oh, I can't.
Yeah, right.
I can't see Devil's Tower without going, this means something.
Well, when you watch the scenes from Muncie, they're at some point they're on a hill, and you're like, there's no fucking mountain like this in Muncie, Indiana. God, there's
so
no
they're making it up.
Yeah.
It is. It's a
Disney,
California
Disney magic.
It's just like when we
Universal.
talked about a few months back that scene in The Last of Us where it says like 10 miles outside of Boston and there's mountains in the background. Right. Yeah.
Okay, come on. Yeah. No, I mean that movie probably affected me a lot growing up though. That Close Encounters of the Third Kind. So just when I saw it, probably being like 4 or 5, and just like thinking that that's real, like when you're a kid,
it could be real. You don't
when
know.
you're of a certain age, when you see movies, you believe that is a reality.
Oh, absolutely.
You have
That's why I will never watch Rosemary's Baby again.
My
babysitter was watching. I think I was like 7,
and
I don't think I slept for a month. It was like.
Yeah, I could see that.
It's just like,
I didn't
watch the remake. I've never watched it again, ever.
Wow.
Even though it's not scary now, like I remember Silver Bullet scared the shit out of me when I was a kid. Stephen King, where the little kids in the wheelchair, and Werewolf. It's the preacher, and
Exorcist was kind of scary as a kid.
Yeah.
E.T. is the only movie that I ever had a nightmare
E.T. scary
about.
too.
Yeah. Like it was like a weird E.T. / Mork from Ork kind of thing. Because in the dream, I remember this egg thing coming down in our backyard, and E.T. being like in this egg thing.
Mork and Mindy.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people who were born between like 76 and like 84. That's why all of us are fairly glass half empty people. It's because the stuff we grew up watching is so dark.
I remember Soap. You remember when Bert gets abducted by aliens?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was freaky too. And I never saw the conclusion to that. I just knew that he was abducted by aliens, and I was like, fuck.
A talking dummy.
Real. Yeah. Well, and they had an Exorcist thing in their storyline too. They played off the Exorcist.
Have you ever seen that one on Saturday Night Live with Richard Pryor?
Which one?
Lorraine Newman is playing the part of the Exorcist girl, and Richard Pryor's a priest with another priest in there. And she goes, "Your mom." No one talks about my mama that way. And he goes, the bed rises up, and it lands on his foot. He's like, "Going, the bed is on my foot."
Oh, I remember that part.
The bed is on my foot. The bed is on my foot. It's so funny. That's great.
Did you guys know that they remade Watership Down a couple years ago? I didn't know that.
It's on Netflix. There's like a 4-part.
Is it any good? Is it a cartoon still, or do they make it an actual?
No. It's like I thought it was an animated. It's like a CGI or computer kind of animated, but it's not CGI like trying to be realistic. I don't think, but I thought it was a 4-part thing on Watership Down. Like there's 4 parts to it. So yeah.
Just speaking of dark things, because that came out in '78, and I mean it's good, but I mean watching rabbits rip each other's throats out is pretty pretty dark as a kid.
I mean, hey,
they're
Monty
fucking
Python,
rabbits.
right?
They multiply fast.
What?
Am I right?
Monty Python, am I right?
Right. I mean, I love it. That's different though, but yeah.
Oh,
But
that's
yeah.
so good. It's got fangs.
Look at it. Look at the bones, man. It can leap. You know. But
Good
one of the
time.
greatest movies with the worst endings. I love Holy Grail, but that ending is just so. Every single time I watch it, when I get to the end, I'm like, "What the fuck? Like, how can you end a movie like that?"
Is that the one where the Grim Reaper comes? Is that where the Grim Reaper comes?
No, that's
Which movie is that?
well, there's a couple. You have Last Action
Well,
Hero,
and
you
the
have
guy's
Bill and Ted.
Come on, because the Grim Reaper's coming to take him away, and he's like, "Oh, come on, man."
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure. Maybe I'm thinking something else, but
I watched because it just came out on Disney Plus. I watched Avatar: The Way of Water today. So
the new one.
Yeah, and I will say that
Yeah, okay.
I'll give a quote.
Here, Matt Treese, that's the meaning of life.
Meaning of Life,
Thank
yeah.
you.
That's
Thank you, Matt.
Yeah.
I'll give
That's
a
the
quote.
one I never finished. I never liked that one. I like Holy Grail and Life of Brian, but yeah, Meaning of Life. Yeah, I got to be on something to watch that one.
Basically, that's
Asper.
a test tail test. Never mind. No, I don't.
Well,
know.
no, it's like the first time I watched Meaning of Life, I was on drugs, and I remember laughing so hard.
Have you ever seen it high?
Oh, I was high off my ass, and I remember laughing so hard at the opening because it's a bunch of old men being pirates with buildings, and I remember going like, "Oh my god, I get it! It's a hostile takeover!" But then I watch it like normal, and you're like, "What the fuck is this?" And I think it's one of those things where they're just, it is funny, but it's just so over the top where you just. If you've never seen Meaning of Life, I don't recommend it.
I've seen them. It's been so long. Like it's been
a while since I
the
sat down and
90s.
watched a Monty Python
So,
movie.
yeah.
What was that?
You got a ghost in your house there?
Yeah.
When we call 911.
Let me go check it out. It did sound like something was falling or something.
I know. Do you have a cat?
No, it's probably a rat.
Oh,
Yeah, big rats.
yeah. They're called Ricky the Rat.
Ricky the
like
Rat.
Mickey Mouse.
No, Ricky Ticky Tippy. Well, that's people say, "Why are you afraid of snakes?" Well, Ricky Ticky Tavi. Do you remember the thing where the snake was always going to kill the little boy? But yet the what's the thing called? The thing that eats the snake.
The mongoose.
Mongoose, yes.
Yeah.
I go. So why wouldn't I be afraid of snakes? They're going to come kill me. Jesus.
I'm worried that Nick got eaten by a snake. He's just gone now. So
that was allowed. I mean, he's alone in his house.
I know. Like, where's that coming from? So
Nick.
We were just talking about like Rosemary's Baby. So
exactly.
Clearly, I mean, I wouldn't put it past him.
If you're not watching us live, you don't know that Nick could be in danger right now.
You are missing out on all of the fancy artwork that Jack puts behind him.
Yeah,
so,
that's
well.
worth. That's worth.
It's worth the price of admission here.
I don't know about that.
I mean, this is no Disneyland where we're going to charge you again and again
and again and again and again.
My wife said it's like you wake up and you spend $300.
Yeah. Oh, I breathed. I took a breath.
Yeah.
Ching. Did you go to the? Did you eat at the? I think it's Hollywood, Disney, the old cafe.
Nope. I saw it though. We walked by it a couple times, but no.
It's really good food there. But the last time we were there, they wouldn't seat us all together. Because of COVID, we can't sit you all together. There's literally a couple. There's a group of 12 sitting together. Well, that was they're not supposed to be doing that.
You're like, so apparently like a month before, like if you book a month before you book, you have the ability to kind of like make your reservations. So we just made, so you made reservations. So here's the thing.
Screws over.
Here's the thing I found about the cantina is if you're a party of like 4 or more, you get one of the booths. But if you're less than that, if you're 3 or 2 and you're booking at the cantina, you have to get standing area. So you don't get a booth. So we got a booth, but the people that came to sit with us, so we had to share the booth. And the other people, no, they were actually part of the whole the Star Cruiser Galaxy like stay, so which they're shutting down. But those
that's the hotel where
that's the hotel. But it's like a full immersion experience where like the actor, like the people that are there,
they're taking it
acting.
down. They're getting rid of it.
They're closing it, but I think that they're probably going to reopen it as just a hotel because the way that they've built that place, like they've spent the money on that building. Why you can't use it for anything else than that purpose?
It's
And
not
it's
a
so
bad
it's
idea.
so close to. No, it's not, but it's so close to the Star Wars area that I wouldn't see why Disney won't reopen it as a resort hotel at some point.
Right.
They're just going to do away with
They probably
the
can
whole,
make more money that way.
they're just going to do away with the whole because there's a whole acting immersion experience that these people next to us that we're a part of, which is great, but you're just kind of like, oh, okay. Like,
but that's the thing is that, like, if you want to keep, the Star Wars part of the park in the new era, the sequel era, whatever, fine, leave it that way. I don't care. But you can't just say, we've talked about this before. Like me, I think it was a couple weeks ago. Like you and me and Chris is like,
right.
You need to have something for other Star Wars fans. Like have something from the original trilogy, have something from the prequel trilogy,
right.
like. Because allow people to say like, hey, I actually want to go see Darth Vader. I actually want to ride the speeder bikes. Like I want to do stuff immersed in that world, in that time period. Don't you think they eventually will? I mean, it costs money. I don't know.
Yeah, I would think that. I mean, because they initially had thought about doing the Galaxy Starliner set in the Mandalorian, but then they went with the Resistance theme. So they could always reopen it with something. And again, I wouldn't see why they wouldn't. They've spent the money in building this resort hotel. Why wouldn't they just sell the rooms and just have it work as a resort and not do the whole immersion experience? But I mean, it's cool though. I mean that these people got to, but I wasn't going to spend that much money on like those on that whole experience. So
it's expensive. It's like $4,000 or something.
Yeah, it was nuts. I was just like, and I mean, the guy next to me, I was like, cool, but they were also like, they were kind of annoyed that like our waitress wasn't being full character, and I'm just like, whatever. So, finished Manifest. Anyone else see the ending?
We can get into some TV talk if you want. We talked a little bit about it last week, Matt, where you're gone, but
sure.
Not Manifest. I think I'm
Larry?
5 episodes into the last half of Manifest. It is by God one of the worst shows I've ever watched. I still watch it. It is so bad. I mean, every episode is basically the same thing. It's like something happens. I'm forgetting his name now, but the main character freaks out. And then it's like, we got to do this, but we can't do it because someone's about to die. And then they don't die, and then they all hug. And it's so bad.
So speaking of shows that I did like, and you mentioned it, Jack, Ted Lasso. Did you watch the finale?
Okay, cool.
Yes.
Yeah, as of last week, we didn't talk about it, Matt, because
Chris hadn't seen it.
Chris hadn't finished.
Of course he hadn't.
He recommended it, but hadn't finished it.
Yeah. Okay. And and I think what I said about it, Matt, was I think the last 2 episodes of season 3 are excellent. Mm-hmm. I just was not happy with season 3 as a whole. I felt it was kind of a lot of storylines that went nowhere and could have been edited out. Like Zabo really wasn't necessary for season 3. I felt Rebecca's character was kind of pushed to the side.
I'm a disagree with Zabo.
Okay, but I mean, but there's just things that like and then like the main issue I have is with what's his name, the Kit Man that became the villain. Nate.
Oh, Nate. Yeah.
Like my biggest issue is with Nate, and it's just because at the end of season 2, there's a really interesting window there to where it's like, okay, let's let Nate really see Rupert now as the father figure that he was looking for with Ted. And he embraces all the shittiness that is Rupert. And like, let's actually see a confrontation on the field with him and Ted. And we don't get that. And then even when Rupert and him have their falling out, we don't see that either. It's like, I really wanted to see what happened. And it could have, instead of him pushing down the other coach at the last game, that could have been Nate, and then there's a lot of other opportunities that could have been interesting.
I wanted Nate to, and I wanted the reconciliation. So I was happy with that part of Nate and Nate's story. I actually enjoyed where it went, where Nate found his own.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, so
I mean, I think the end is definitely like the ending of it. I think they
Yeah.
knew where they were going to get with the
Yes.
characters. They just didn't know how to get there. Like
it was. Yeah, I loved the ending, and I don't
Yeah,
want
the
to
ending's-
spoil
the ending's
anyone
great.
for
It's great.
anyone. It to me, it had so many callbacks. It drew so many strings together. Whether or not this is the last season, if they do a spin-off, if they do whatever they do, I'm down for it. This could be its own little show, and I'd be fine with that. You know,
My
yeah.
Can I talk about
Yeah.
Zabo for a second? The reason
Sure.
I think
Yeah, yeah, go
Zabo
ahead.
was important was first Jamie wouldn't have realized his potential if it weren't
Yes.
for Zabo.
He
Goes to Roy. Can you make me a better player?
Yeah.
So as where they had all that friction forever.
Mm-hmm.
Suddenly they realized, okay, they had a lot in common. Okay, they had Keeley, but they had a lot in common. As far as the scene where he's teaching him how to ride the bike is hilarious.
Yeah. Oh, the Holland. Episode.
Yeah, it's hilarious. Plus, also, it forced Ted to learn how to coach the game of soccer. He had to come up with a game plan other than, okay, give the ball to Zabo,
right,
and we win. He wasn't. Anyone could coach that team because
he
Zabo
wasn't really even at the beginning. I think it showed that his head wasn't in the game.
Mm-mm.
Like even at the beginning of this season, like but by the end, he knows what offsides is. And I just love that callback. I love all the callbacks in the last episode. And I to me, that's what makes the whole show just a nice meal, And again, if they do this idea of a woman's club, if that's the spinoff, that'd be cool. If they do a season 4 and they incorporate that, I don't care. I'm sure Apple's like, what do you want? What do you want to do?
I didn't hate season 3. It's not the best season, but I liked it.
It had its moments for sure. I mean, like I think the show as a whole had these moments, like Rebecca at the funeral, or like there's these, the Holland episode, or these had these moments like throughout the show that like stand out as just like even the Christmas episode. I'm so thankful that we got that Christmas episode. It's a nice meal.
Yeah.
So
well, I guess my main issue with season 3 is a lot of it seemed to be just kind of stagnant in some ways, because like in a series that's really about character change and growing as a human being, to me there wasn't that. And what I really think of is like the character of Rebecca in season 3, and that like I loved Rebecca's story arc from being like this bitter kind of just out for revenge character in season 1 to her loosening up to really becoming a human being. And then of course the ending of hers is great too. But like my brother-in-law had a really great idea, and he really thought at some point in season 3 Rupert was really going to show his colors again to Rebecca and have some kind of dirt on her, and then they were going to make a wager for each other's club, because Rupert, that was his first love, was Richmond, and he wants to get it back. And he, and then he could do whatever, like he could buy a new coach, he could buy all the athletes, he could do whatever he wants to stack it to where he's going to win this game. But that somehow Rebecca wins it at the end, and then she could do even what she did there, like give away that franchise to the fans. And I was like, that would have been a more interesting arc for her, I think, because I felt in the middle of the season like there wasn't much for Rebecca. Same thing with Keeley. I loved Keeley's lightheartedness and like her lovingness, and it really wasn't there in season 3. You kind of had her doing her own thing with Jack, and it just kind of like, okay, what's really happening here? But I don't know. I'm not trying to shit on it, because I did enjoy. I love Ted Lasso. I'm just saying, like, there's some things where I felt like if it just would have hashed it out a little bit more, it would have been the perfect.
I love Rebecca's anti-Dean Spano speech, where she says, "No, the team belongs to the fans. They're the ones that love the team. They're the ones that why should we profit and make more money when it's the fans that have built
I like
team?
That she calls out
Fuck you, Dean Spanos.
Yeah. I liked how she called out the owners in that one meeting.
Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Because
there was this really cool like thing that I didn't realize. I saw it on a breakdown, but like the little girl she sees in the mirror in that episode,
Yeah,
the actress, it's the same girl that she sees at the end running, and
Sure.
I don't want to spoil anyone that hasn't seen it, but she sees this girl. It's the same actress, and that's why she sees herself in that child.
Oh.
I
It's
did
the
have
same.
I did have a
Yeah.
question, and this is kind of spoiler, so if you don't want to hear it, skip like a minute.
Yeah, if you haven't skipped already.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Skip a minute, and I'll give a thumbs up when you come back. Well, you guys can't see that if you don't. If you're when Ted's on the plane, he wakes up. Now, everything he saw that happened to people,
right.
was it just a dream? Because he was not at Beard's wedding.
Yeah. I like that. I like that idea.
I think he
there's a little
at the wedding.
There's a little bit of like Wizard of Oz aspect to it, because they had some Wizard of Oz illusions, and even Ted's wearing red shoes.
And does he actually go home to where his wife?
Yeah.
I like to believe that this
died
is
on
real.
the plane. They went down. And
he was dead. They were dead the whole time.
They were dead the whole time. Yeah.
I like to believe that it was real and it was not a dream.
Maybe he's on Manifest. Like he's part of that flight. And
but we've gone on a long time tonight, and since Chris is not here, we can end this thing.
Let's pull
quick
this
because
over.
Chris can be. Anything else you guys want to talk about real quick?
Well, I mean, I forget what other shows we've talked about, but I did, because I'm not sure if Jack or Matt. I was waiting. I did finish. I don't think we ever brought it back up again. Jury Duty, which was
Jury Duty. Yeah,
that was good.
You guys liked it?
I think the turd in the toilet was peak.
Yeah. You see how they made the? You see how they made the turd?
Yeah,
oh my
God, that was good.
Did you finish it, Matt?
I don't think I've finished it.
Okay, because to me, I said that's maybe it was Matt I was talking about too. To me, the series is just okay until the last episode. The last episode is what brings it together, of turning it around.
I think I'm a couple episodes left.
Yeah.
So,
but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed because it was just silly. All the stupid shit they did, like the guy, not wanting to have sex, I can't have sex, and then okay, you have to do this, jumping on the bed. I was like, oh my god,
jumping on the bed, yeah.
Who would do that? It's just,
and they got the perfect guy to play the guy that didn't know it was
right.
They
did. They did. I saw something where James Martin had said like it was such a benefit to have that person, or it was such a he made the show.
Right.
In many ways.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. That's what's good about the last episode, because the whole time you think it's about the jury and all the stuff that's happening, and then they turn it around to emphasize him, the main character, and goes, and you're like, and that's what really brings it all home.
Oh yeah, I need to finish it. I think I'm a couple episodes out. So
yeah, it's a great show. If you haven't seen it, it's hilarious. It's probably the funniest show
I think it's even
years.
on Prime.
It's on Prime. Yeah, you watch it on
Prime advertising it. Just like somehow The Way of Water is both on Max as well as Disney Plus at the same time. I don't know how James Cameron worked that out, but yeah.
Damn James Cameron, damn you.
So,
but I think we're going to wrap this up. We do have an email, but we're going to wait till Chris is here so Chris can join in the discussion of that email. Plus, we're trying to wrap this show up quick because some of us got to get up early tomorrow.
Okay, Mr. Skillet.
Some people like me, and I was up late last night.
Okay, Mr. Skillet.
John says he couldn't understand what 90% what Keeley was said. That's why any British
closed
show,
captions.
Closed caption. Any British show, I always put closed captions on.
I mean, you're not a fan if you haven't watched the show with closed captions.
I watch everything with closed captions now, especially Disney Plus, because Disney there's so much stuff in the background that you don't normally hear. You're like, oh, that's what they said. That's
anyway,
right.
No.
But we're gonna wrap this show up. We'll probably be back next week.
Probably.
All four of us can make it.
I will be here next week. After that, I have another vacation.
Oh my God, Jesus Christ!
Well, I'll be out 2 weeks in July. So
Jack's like, how are we ever going to get this show done?
Well, we're always,
Summer
second week of July. I'm in San Diego. Third week of July.
Look, you could have a killer in your house that you couldn't find. So I got to be nice to you.
I have no idea what that noise.
Yeah. Good luck tonight.
It was loud.
I know. Is that like something breaking or falling down the
Look,
stairs?
we know Rosemary's Baby is in your house right now, so we just want you to be safe. Okay. Text us later.
The writers from Manifester there, they heard what you said about this show.
Yeah, they're on strike.
But at this time, we're going to wrap this up. We're going to bring it home. Hour and 24 minutes. Thank you, people.
Okay.
But we thank everyone who joined us in the chat. We thank everyone who's been a patron, become a patron, all that fun stuff. But this time, we're going to thank Eckhart Rickner Glaffeler, Maggie the Magnificent, Joanne with a Plan, and Ed, the creepy, poopy letter carrier, mailman, mail person, letter carrier, whatever it is they're called now. And that's all we got. Hasta luego.
Excellent.
And good. Bye.
It was a great show, kids. 1 in a million. Thanks for all the Disney World talk.
See ya.